What's poppin', gamers? I am a Sigma male. Always on the hunt for the next grind. I decided I was gonna become ripped. 1 week later, done. So I decided to become a billionaire. 2 hours later, not even a challenge. But my thirst was not quenched. So I decided to become president of the world. Well, that was a waste of time. I could have just been playing RuneScape. Grinding. You have to repeating one small thing over and over and over again until you achieve a big thing. You work out every day, you get stronger. You kill 200 diplomats, you take over the world. And most importantly, you defeat a Rattata, you level up. Well, people call all kinds of things grinding now. The term stems from video games, with people grinding since the medium began. Well, maybe not since it began, but pretty close. Not all grinds are created equally though, with them ranging from just quick pit stops at otherwise large games to holy this is my life now. If this comes to question, what are the greatest grinds in all of gaming? To start off, let's talk about my and probably a lot of other people's first experience with grinding. Pokemon. This is for two reasons. One is that Pokemon's a pretty easy grind to understand. Your Pokemon has a level, you walk into the grass and meet another Pokemon, now that level's higher. The second, it's like the first game I ever played. I know it's a meme to say that Pokemon players can't read, but I've known how to play Pokemon for longer than I've known how to read. I know a lot of other people my age who just grinded in Pokemon when they were young. When playing Soul Silver, my brother got to a point where he didn't know what to do next, so he just kept battling wild Pokemon until he was wildly over-leveled. My brother was dumb as f*** though. I made it to the first gym before I had to grind. This is where we get to one of grinding's main functions, getting stronger. In particular, RPGs are notorious for grinding for this reason. In a platform where if you get stuck on something, you just gotta get good. But in an RPG where everything is turn-based and dependent on how high you can get your stats, the easiest way to get past something might just be to grind for levels. This is why I had a system. I would battle every trainer I could, fight every wild Pokemon, and for every gym, I would grind all my Pokemon to the level of the gym leader's ace. This was the hard rule I followed no matter what. You have OCD. There were no signs. With this though, I rarely had to grind after the first gym. But I probably wouldn't have had to anyway, Pokemon games really aren't that grindy. What makes RPGs grindy is mostly the level curve. Pokemon bosses go up pretty steadily though, so as long as you're not skipping pretty much every optional battle like some people do, you'll stay on pace. This is also why the newer games spreading XP across all Pokemon makes them super easy. The level curve wasn't readjusted for the fact that the player now gets 6 times more XP than they used to. This applies to a lot of RPGs. While the genre known for grinding, it's primarily in older RPGs. Due to storage limitations, games have to be made a lot shorter. So large level gaps will be added to encourage grinding and make the games feel longer. Some people also just shit at video games. I said grinding is the easiest way, not the only way. If you know what you're doing, you can beat Pokemon without gaining any levels at all. I can't, but Smartland did, so I know it's possible. Without size limitations though, you can just make them as long as you want. Persona 5 Royale is a 100-hour long game, and I never once felt the need to grind. I think the game can still give a good ballpark of how grindy it is though. This is where howlongtobeat.com comes in. Guess what it does? My favorite page is for Dragon Quest IX, Sentinels of the Starry Sky. Main story, a respectable 48 hours. Main plus some side content, almost double at 86 hours. 100%, 742 hours. There have been 9 shorter wars. There are 3 major grinds that contribute to this. The first is the Grottos. These are randomly generated mini dungeons found at certain points on the map, usually containing a few items and a boss fight. The second is the Crackpot, which allows you to combine items to create new equipment, including a lot of really rare items that can only be found in dungeons and grottos. The third grind is the 14 legacy bosses. These are bosses from other Dragon Quest games that can be found in special grottos, and after beating them, you'll get the option to give them the XP instead of taking it for yourself. And if you choose to, the boss will level up instead of you. So if you want 100% the game, you have to grind your opponent to level 99 14 times. And as you level up the boss, they'll start to drop new items. Items that are then used in the Crackpot. That's right, it was one grind the whole time! While these don't really follow the traditional level grinding of RPGs, it's still a repetitive task that you do over and over again, so I'd say it more than counts. To touch on one final point with howlongtobeat.com, while looking I found a page I definitely wasn't expecting. the Osu page. For those who don't know, Osu is a rhythm game where you move your mouse pointer to click the circle to the beat. You may think the weird part is 3,431 hours, which did surprise me, but only because it should be way more. Osu is an infinite competitive game. Fans make their own levels, and then other fans play them. This is like if League of Legends had a how long to beat. What the fuck? What this actually represents is how long it will take to get every achievement, which most players don't try to do, just picking up whatever they get while playing normally. That doesn't mean it's not one of the grindiest games though, with Osu representing another type of grind. Rank grinding. In Osu, users submit beat maps to moderators to get ranked, and if they do, then beating the map will award the player performance points, or PP, and depending on how you play, you'll get more PP. Hitting the note more precisely, getting higher combos, or using modifiers like playing the song on 2x speed will make the beat map give out more PP, whereas higher PP players getting higher in the rankings, just making them better people. It's not unlike grinding to get into Grandmaster in Overwatch or Diamond in Valorant. Unlike other games though, Osu grinders are actually mocked by the community, being labeled as PP farmers, probably to avoid confusion. This is PP farming, this is PP grinding. This is because while in most games you raise your rank just by winning more games than you lose, Osu has all these other factors that make it easy to find ways to cheat the system. One such are jumps, placing two notes far away from each other on the screen. They're pretty hard to hit, so maps with a lot of them award more PP, but they're not as hard as the more complex beat mapping. So a lot of farm maps are just full of them. The most important factor in PP is also the combo. So if you're farming, you can completely ignore how accurate you are, as long as you can get a hit. Combine this with a short map, you can just crank out full combos. These allow you to get higher in the ranks without really improving much as a player. That being said, literally every Osu player is a PvP farmer. We all like seeing that number get higher. This is the most sinister kind of grinding though. Before I was looking at how long it would take to beat a game. Sure, Dragon Quest IX could sap hours of your life, but eventually, it would end. But these games are infinite. You could grind forever. Sure, you may eventually reach the highest ranks, but these are reserved for the best of the best. You could grind for thousands of hours and never even get close. I've seen League of Legends grinding ruin great men, good men, men I respect, men I know. But now there are games that are just grinding, like Jet Set Radio, a game all about hitting the sickest grinds possible. Other than that though, is it even possible to go deeper than an infinite grind? Yes. Allow me to introduce to you what I call the theory of infinite infinity. You see, while infinite, all these games focus around one singular grind, the rank grind. As well, they exist in a quantum superposition, a Schrodinger's grind if you will. You're not always grinding, sometimes you could just be playing for fun. It only becomes a grind once you make the conscious choice to consider it one. But what if we could take the objective grind from an RPG and the multiple skill and level grind and add them into a competitive environment? As well, what if instead of placing them in one finite space, we continually added to them at a fast enough rate that no one person could do all of them? This would reasonably create multiple infinite grinds based around multiple, massive objectives. The MMO. We've got some classic level grinding, with it taking 10 to 20 hours in World of Warcraft to reach max level. We could also spend 180 hours in Black Desert Online grinding for iridescent pebbles to craft donkey armor. One of the most notorious grinds in MMOs is gold farming in old school RuneScape. One of the ways to do this is through killing green dragons. They aren't too tough and they drop dragon bones, which can be used to level up prayer, one of 23 skills you can grind for. Because of this, dragon bones sell for a good amount on the Grand Exchange, making them an easy way to farm gold. Out of all the ways to farm money in all the different MMOs, why is this the most notorious though? It's a cornerstone of the Venezuelan economy. That's right, because of rapid inflation, rampant government corruption, sanctions from the US, and a bunch of other political issues I'm not even going to pretend to be smart enough to understand. I said I was president of the world. I never said I earned it. Not only is selling gold a valid career path, but RuneScape Gold is actually a more stable currency than the Venezuelan Bolivar. An average minimum wage job in Venezuela comes out to about $2 a week, while gold farming can result in about 50 cents an hour, which still isn't a lot, but it's enough to eat sometimes. As well, at its core, old school RuneScape is a game made 20 years ago, so it can be run on old cheap computers. Because of this, old school RuneScape farming is a pretty common job, with a lot of high schools recommending it to students. It's basically the equivalent of working at McDonald's in the US. The only problem, other than it being kinda sad, that's also a lot against RuneScape TOS to sell in-game items for money. Despite this though, they rarely get banned. If I had to guess, it's for two reasons. One, while RuneScape props up the Venezuelan economy, Venezuela also propped up the RuneScape economy, with farmers providing a steady stream of rare items real players don't want to grind for. Once in 2019 there was a major internet outage in Venezuela, and the effect could be seen in RuneScape, with the sales of Dragon Bones instantly dropping. The other reason is just, would you feel good banning a gold farmer? Sure, it's against the rules, but I can't imagine Jagex would exactly want to start enforcing TOS, knowing it would take away thousands of people's ability to feed their families. A notable spin-off of MMO style grinding is mobile games, particularly gacha games that have a lot of items and skins to grind for, except with a touch more pay to win. There's not much to say about this though, other than the fact that they absolutely dominate howlongtobeat.com. I pity whoever found out how long it takes to 100% gears pop. Before looking at the greatest grind though, I have to ask, why? Why can games have multiple 100-hour long grinds and have people who try to do all of them? One theory is out of Skinner boxes. Essentially this guy BF Skinner put a rat in a box with a button, and when it pressed the button, it got food, which conditioned the rat to press the button more. You play a game, you get some kind of reward, and that conditions your brain to keep playing. He also found that if the reward was only sometimes given for an action, it would condition people to repeat it even more. Like how people get addicted to gambling because they only win sometimes, and I don't get addicted because I always win because I'm the best. With this view, grinding is essentially an addiction, but I don't think that's entirely fair. Sure, some people seem to grind just to have a feeling they have to, but others seem to truly love the grind. While looking into people who have 100%ed Dragon Quest IX, all of them seem to truly love the game. There are also people who create their own grinds, like legendary Final Fantasy VII player Circle Master, who grinded to level 100 in the first area. Or one of my favorite YouTubers, AbsarBlogs Pokemon, who has a whole series on his channel called the Level 100 Gauntlet, where he grinds Pokemon to
Level 100. The pinnacle of power for a Pokemon.
Using unconventional methods like smashing rocks in Legend Arceus. The games don't have any elements that encourage these extreme grinds, and they seem to just do it out of a love for the grind. In my own experience, I recently grinded the hell out of Persona 5 Royale. I maxed all the confidants, used every persona, and got a strong as fuck Izanagi no Okami Piccolo that one-shots everything in the game. Would I say I was addicted? A little, yeah. But also, grinding was just a nice, almost meditative experience. A mindless task I could turn my brain off to, and just enjoy playing a game I love. And in the end, feel some sort of accomplishment. Because of that, even though I did all of this in a single player game and no one will ever know what I did other than me, I don't regret grinding. I just regret everything else about my life. With that out the way, what is the greatest grind in gaming? To me, there's no other answer. It has to be Minecraft Hypixel Skyblock. Minecraft is already considered a grindy game, with you spending most of your time grinding materials to build something. This is part of the beauty though, with all that work paying off when you finally get to create your ideal build and live out your wildest fantasies. Hi, how can I help you? Can I have the chicken? Here you go. Living the dream. Skyblock takes things a step further though, being a game mode on Hypixel that makes Minecraft into an MMO, adding new skills, items, dungeons, enemies, and more, all within Minecraft. The interesting result of jerry-rigging a sandbox game into being an MMO is that all the previous grinding mechanics get multiplied by 12 gazillion billion. In base Minecraft, sugarcane farming is a little tedious, but ultimately not too important after you get enough for an enchanting table. But in Skyblock, sugarcane is one of the most profitable crops, so you make a 3-layer farm so big that it fully regrows by the time you finish harvesting it, grab an enchanted hoe and a farming pet, and keep going until you feel like your wrist is gonna fall off. Then there's the matter of endgame gear. In Minecraft, this is still a pretty tedious grind, having to spend a few hours mining netherite and then breeding villagers to get the right enchantment books. But in Skyblock, if you want the strongest weapon, the Hyperion, you need to work your way through the catacombs to level 7, where you'll find the Bigfoot and Lazar enemies, which have a 50% chance of dropping an item you need to craft it. Then you need the Wither Catalysts, which have between a 2.65% chance to a 9.03% chance of spawning in the chest at the end of the floor. Repeat this 24 times to get enough. And finally, you're ready for the Necron's Handle, which has a 0.1% chance of spawning in bedrock chests, which only spawn if you clear the floor with a score of 300 or more. The fastest run of Catacombs level 7 is 3 minutes and 45 seconds, so even if you get world record every time, this is still a 2-day and 14-hour grind. But that's only once you're strong enough to beat the Catacombs, and you're gonna need to grind for a bunch of other strong gear in order to do that. And even once you get the gear, you're gonna need to grind your combat level to be strong enough to use it. And to grind your combat level, you're gonna need to kill enemies. And to kill these enemies, you're gonna need to grind for slightly weaker strong items. And even once you get the Hyperion, you're still gonna need to give it like 24 enchantments, 10 hot potato books, and reforge it a bunch of times to be optimal. You can expedite some of the process though by buying items from the auction house instead of grinding for them yourself. But that's why Iron Man exists, a mode where you can't interact with other players at all and have to get everything on your own. I found this YouTuber Rage Train who's been working on an Iron Man run, and these thumbnails speak for themselves. In just one part of his series, he needed coins, and to do this, he decided to farm for gems. And to do this optimally, he needed the Scaleless Mining Pet, which are dropped by worms, which are spawned by mining in a straight line, and this grind alone took him 240 hours. 100 hours more than my whole playthrough of Persona 5. He did go way over odds with the drop, but I still have to commend him on his dedication. Skyblock players are the definition of loving the grind. Because in true Minecraft fashion, even with all this stuff to grind for, they keep creating their own grind on top of it. There's a whole genre of Skyblock videos that's just people grinding to have the most of a certain item, the most ice, the most cactus, and of course, the most potatoes. With the legendary Great Potato War spawning the greatest trilogy on YouTube, as the late great Technoblade and Squid Kid spent hundreds of hours grinding, just to see who could have more potatoes. And despite how insane they are still one of the nicest gaming communities. Back in my Minecraft streamer phase when I played Skyblock, players would just give me good items to help me start out. For no reason, I had 2 viewers, there was no cloud in this. So with my first decree as president of the world, I am declaring Minecraft Hypixel Skyblock the greatest grind in gaming. And I'm dedicating this award to the random guy who gave me an aspect of a dragon, wherever he may be. With that out the way, I can finally start doing actual presidential stuff, like ending wars or whatever. Hey man, so I just finished grinding for 16 minutes, and I'm in charge now. What do you mean? I was grinding for longer. I optimized to run. But I worked hard for this. I worked hard too. So much. And I didn't even kill anyone. Listen man, I just hand it over. Yeah, fine. I don't even want it that bad. The crown too. Get the fuck fine, out. Be like that. Get the fuck out. Be like that, fine, I'll leave. Fucking bitch.